Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm going to show you something a little bit different today, and what you'll be seeing is some sections in the collection where I've reposed the figures or put different things in there. This figure King Kong was reviewed a few days ago on the channel, and I finally came up with a pose, and this is it. And he's holding on to that, well, I suppose it's a tree branch that he's trying to make into a clubbing weapon. And I'll just show you this skull crusher. And when I reviewed it on film, I kept calling it the skull buster. But what I like about it is the head does move, and so does the mouth, which is good for a little figure. But overall, I like the effect of the pose and that little collection of rocks I've used to beef it up. And I'll pause it now and move on to the next section. So we're square on in the center of this section, and I've recreated an encounter with Spider-Man and Doc Ock. I've got Spider-Man on a flight stand, so it looks like he's leaping through the air, and Doc Ock is looking out towards the heavens. And I do like that effect. So if we go to the right side of this section, we'll start off with Red Skull. From upstairs, he's come downstairs. Vision, that's a new pose, I really like that. Ghost Rider, recently had him filmed on the channel and reposed him. Then we've got Wolverine and Domino, female version of Silver Surfer, also been reposed. And coming down past Doc Ock and Spider-Man, we've got Blade, Deadpool, like that pose, Venom, and he's holding a prop that came out of my Hulk figure box. And then newly reposed Iron Man, I like that pose, quite simple but very Iron Man like. And then we've got Hulkbuster, who was upstairs in the bedroom, but he's down here in the kitchen. And then we've got, I love that little pose on the knees, Raven, or sometimes she's known as Mystique. So pulling back, overall, I quite like this layout. But let's go over the top. You can see some of the guys behind. That's Eddie the Hood with 2 pistols. Spider-Man, Rebirth Batman. Over on this side, we've got Maggot from the X-Men world, Thor, Rhino. Going past Spider-Man, you can just about make out Katana, Red Skull, Sabretooth, the brother of Wolverine, Madam Hydra, and Cyclops there just behind Hulkbuster. So on that note, we'll move it back into the center of the display. And there's Spider-Man there taking on Doc Ock. Let's move into the living room area. Well, I wanted to start off with this guy. I've just reposed him, and I'm very happy with that. He's got 2 energy effects on his arms, and those are off other figures, but I like the kind of flight dynamics of the figure. And Dr. Fate, which was in Black Adam, I think he was my favourite character, played by Pierce Brosnan, who also played James Bond. And in my large DVD collection, I have all the James Bonds. But he was good as Dr. Fate. I'm only sorry they sort of killed him off. So I'm going to pause that now, move to the next section. Well, the section next door really. I want to get a better camera angle. So stay tuned. So we're back with the Batmobile, the one-seated Batmobile featured in The Flash. Now actually in The Flash, where you see the actor who plays Flash, Ezra Miller I think he is, sleeping in the cockpit. And it definitely is a two-seater, but McFarlane's chose to release the Batmobile this way, which I don't understand, because you've got the Tumbler, which is a two-seater, but maybe the car would have been too big in terms of scale. But it's a good vehicle, and I really like it. And I said on my Grand Tours video that I prefer the glossy version of this vehicle. It sits well in my collection, and I also believe it's more glossy than matte, because as I said before, when you see the Batmobile in the films, it normally is seen at night, and you'll see the street lights hit it, and it's more shiny than matte. Plus, when you see the Flash movie, you kind of get the impression, even in the cave lighting, that it is more shiny than matte. So whether you believe that theory or not, it's up to you. It's just my version of what I think. And I think the glossy version of this vehicle sits better in my collection than the matte vehicle. And it was a bargain at 60 quid. But next to that car, we've got Michael Keaton Batman as he appeared in the Flash movie. And I've always said this head sculpt for me is completely Michael Keaton, and I love it. And I have seen the release of the new figures, especially the one with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman and Danny DeVito as the Penguin, and all the versions of Michael Keaton Batman have been excellent, even the recent ones. And you do see elements or bits of Michael Keaton in those head sculpts, but not entirely completely Michael Keaton, and I think this head sculpt is it. So overall, I think he looks awesome, especially in the Batmobile, and I will film that at some point, but I like the way I've been able to get the best poses out of this figure. I've managed to come to terms with that cape, which was quite sort of unnatural on the figure. I've messed about with it so it naturally looks correct, and it's draping off the figure in the correct way. So we're going to pause it on a close-up of Michael Keaton Batman. There he is, and go to the next section. So this section below the Batmobile now has Hawkeye on it, Hawkman should I say, and I've taken him off the flight stand, but I do like that pose. He was on the table, now he's on top of my hi-fi. I've changed Superman's pose slightly, but there's not much going on there, but I like him where he is. I'm going across to Armoured Dark Knight from Dark Knight Returns. I've posed him out with different hands, got him in a combat move. So that's the section, as you can see. So let's move on. So this is the Batman Robert Pattinson wave, and this is my latest pose of Batman, and I really like it. Just love the way the eyes look off to one side. But that's the first pose of this figure, where I put in the batarang and the grappling gun. When I first got the figure, I did put the grappling gun on, but never the batarang. And then I got the grip in hand, and then I just posed him with a rifle. But now I've put him in this mode, I do like the dynamics. So over there in the back, you've got the penguin, played brilliantly by Colin Farrell. I've reposed the Riddler. He could be a henchman, because all the henchmen do look like Riddler. But he looks good with weapons. I've had him with that weapon for quite some time. And on the far side, you've got Catwoman next to the Bat Cycle. So that's a nice bit of the section. I'll pause it and take you to the next level down. So this is your next level down. Coming in first on Sue Storm, Invisible Woman, repositioned and reposed. Then next to her, repositioned and reposed, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. And then over on this side, Silver Surfer. I've taken off the energy effects that were on his arms, just kept it simple, and I like that. And Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, haven't changed his pose really, but repositioned him. And then at the back, you've got the Thing with the other head sculpt on one knee, and then Dr. Doom. He's had to go there because I wanted to see the Fantastic Four at the front, but I love Dr. Doom. So that's the section on this Fantastic Four. Let's go down to the one below. So the Daredevil section. So these two coming in close, I've kind of got them trying to be in uniform, you know, arm down by the side, one arm up. One has the axe and the other has the billy stick. So I like that effect. And there's a Spider-Man, reposed, Green Goblin, Kingpin, Shocker in the centre, Blockhead on the left at the back, Spectre behind Elektra. That's Elektra reposed. Love it. So that section repositioned and reposed. And we'll come down to quickly the Wakanda section. So I just reposed all these figures. I won't go into their names, but I kind of like the overall dynamics. So we'll come to Black Panther there. He's been reposed, and move to the next section. So I may have had a slight technical issue there with the camera. I'm not sure, I'll have to watch it back. But this section is slightly changed, and the main change being the alien. He's been moved from another part of the living room to here. Got him posed holding the Predator helmet. Wasn't sure if I could get him into that pose, but I had to go, fiddle for a little bit, and I'm glad I managed to create it. Maybe someone has done this, but I have not seen it. And I had this in my head and it looks fine. And so I pushed these figures further along. Carrie Kelly and Batman, taking him off the horse. Do like the way those two look. Then we've got Joker there. He's got an Uzi in his hand now. But he always looks murderous when you pose him right. And then there's John Constantine. And I believe Keanu Reeves is going to reprise the role, should I say. But this is the image of John Constantine I know through the comics and the animation. And he was also in the crossover series of Arrow and Flash. And there you go. You got Mutant Leader there at the back. So that section overall doesn't look too bad. I know the alien didn't quite fit the equation and he probably won't stay there for too long, but for now I don't mind him. So let's move on. So when I moved the alien from this position, I'd not long finished filming these guys, especially the guy there at the back called the Spot, and I was calling him the Doctors all the time when I was filming him and reviewing him, but that's called the Spot, and he's the main villain in the sequel to Into the Universe. He's in Across the Universe and he can disrupt time, but he has a good little diorama there of Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's hand you can just about make out. But I think these two at the front complete the look and I like it. Coming down to Spider-Man first, I like that pose. He's quite insect-like, and I do like to see all my Spider-Men when I pose them having the illusion of an insect. And then there's Spider-Gwen, and she looks good, as do the pair of them. But as I say, it's the overall effect I like, and Alien had to come off there so I could get these guys on. So let's pause it and go to the next bit. So this is the main table section. Only a couple of days ago I reviewed this guy, Quaritch or Quadditch or Quidditch as I sometimes call him, from Ash Recon. He was the villain in the first film who died, but they saved his DNA and made an avatar of the figure, of the character, and this is the figure. And I love him. So where my avatars were before, I could see them from different parts of the room, but I couldn't see them all the time. So I put them all on the table section. I've reposed Jake Sully, like that pose. Then we come over to Tonawari, and then we're there for Natiri. And these creatures are known as the Navi or Navi of Pandora. And I love those figures in the center of my table display. So if I come back, you kind of get a sense of how many figures are on that table. So if I come in on this side, you'll see my ninja spawn. Love that figure. And then over the top and behind, you'll see my Green Lanterns. Then you'll see Darkseid, Lex Luthor, and then there you got Shazam, and next to Shazam, Mr. Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam, and then below him, my recently reposed Christopher Reeve holding that green crystal, iconic from the film, and I'm going to keep him that way for a while. Then you got Supergirl there, Mr. Freeze, Lieutenant James Gordon, then you got Joker at the back, Batman and Azrael, Batgirl and Tim Drake Robin. Just moving along the section, just trying to get an overall picture. We will go to the Predators in a minute. This is my Steven Spielberg camera work. So we'll come to Peacemaker and Bloodsport. Just reviewed them on the channel not long ago. Then at the back, we've got Ezra Miller Flash on the right, Ghost in the middle, and TV movie Flash. And there's a better shot of Batman and Azrael. Let's do another one of Tim Drake and Batgirl, Tim Drake being Robin. So that's that side. Let's move across to the Predators. And there's Scout Predator. Reposed him. Jungle Predator. Reposed him. Then we've got Fugitive Predator. Let's pull it back and pause it there so I can get a better angle for you guys. So I've got a better angle now. That's your feral predator, and he's holding that hand weapon there, which you can magnetize to the back of the figure, which is what I like about it. You can magnetize the weapons onto the back, and a better shot of Fugitive Predator. Then we come to that guy, Greyback, I think it is, or Silverback Predator, or Temple Guard Predator. Then we've got Alpha Predator, love that figure. And then we've got Assassin Predator in a new pose. And when I sit across the room on my settee, I'll get that view of the table and the Predators, and I really like it. So let's move across one more time back to these two. And if I think about it, I think we're coming up to the last segment, so stay tuned. Nearly home and dry. Well, I wanted to end on this section mainly because I've never posed this wave with the bat included. From the moment I collected the entire wave and assembled the bat, they've never been together. So I'm going to wind things up and tell you that I've reposed all of them. Let's go to Jim Carrey Riddler. He's been reposed. And I am going to do a segment on all of them, showing you the different poses and stuff like that. Then this figure, Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. And he does have another hand with a coin in it. And you can put it into that hand, that side. So it looks like he's flipping his coin to try to make a decision. And I've grown to like this figure because when I first saw him on the internet, it didn't remind me much of Tommy Lee Jones. But it is very well done at this level. And then we've got Chris O'Donnell there, who played Robin. And that wide cape, which is so nice to work with, has lifted the qualities of what would have been a lesser figure. I mean, it's still good if it was a moulded cape, but I think they did the right thing having a wide cape, because it does lift the quality of Robin, played by Chris O'Donnell. And then we're going to come over to Val Kilmer, who played Batman, and that likeness there, for me, I personally think is spot on. But with this figure again, I love posing him. The cape was the fiddly part, but once you get to understand how this cape drapes off this figure, you can mess about with it so it looks naturally like it belongs there. But sadly, Val Kilmer passed away at 63. He was a good Batman. I liked every Batman, but sometimes the stories were a bit weak. But the main reason I got this way was to actually get the Riddler there, because I thought it was awesome. I could get the white version, but this is the one I wanted. And then as time went on and I knew I could build that bat, I went into trying to get all the other figures, and I've come to love them all. And I love Batman, he's excellent. But the bat is by far my best build-a-figure item in my collection. And with that bat, he tilts either that way or that way, forwards and backwards. You can open and close the mouth, you can turn the head. It's a great bat, and you can position the wings in different ways so the wingspan looks like it's moving. So everything there is first time ever together and reposed. So that's my little bit of filming over with. I hope you've enjoyed what you've been looking at, and maybe the next one, I'll keep going on about it, will be Jango Fett, which I've been expecting, but it's 3 weeks overdue. So on that note, I'm going to leave it there and say thanks for watching the repose review of my Sweeney's collectible collection. Bet that was hard to say. Thanks for watching. See you again next time.